Okay, everyone, great work on your dreams. So now we are moving to our next tool in our toolkit, excuses. So we have our dream that takes care of our heart, and now we have to take care of our head. And this is often way more easier. So what I'd like you to do now is write down all of the reasons that you have for why the dream is not possible. And feel free to contradict yourself, not make sense, it doesn't matter. I just want to hear everything that you have that is in the way of the dream. Take a few minutes now. Okay, so can I have some brave souls share? And just know, the more you share, the more help you're going to get. So you don't have to share, but if you want to really have a breakthrough in this area that you're working on, it would be worth your while to share with the group. Okay, great. Perfect. Now can you hear that Joe is judging the future based on what he's learned from the past? Anyone else have a reason in their list that is similar to Joe's? Can I see a show of hands? Wonderful. Okay. So what we're going to do next is fight back against this list. And I'm going to ask you to put on your excuse-busting hats, which you might not like. But consider that if you are believing this list, you are not believing the dream. I'm going to call anything that you use as a reason or a justification as an excuse. And the truth about our excuses is we don't even realize we're telling an excuse because they're so woven into the fabric of how we talk and how we think. But if you're not cheering for the dream, if you're cheering for something else, then you're cheering for an excuse. And generally, we believe our excuses because they get us off the hook from having to take the right action so that we can get the dream. And the reason why. Generally, our excuses come from two places. We have the voice, and these have funny names for a reason. So we can start to have a sense of humor about how we think and what we tell ourselves. So the first place or voice in our head is the voice of fear, of the chicken. The chicken will have us believe that it's not possible. There's no way I can talk to her. There's no way that I can go after that. There's no way. That won't happen. She'll be mad at me. He's too busy. I don't need to. He doesn't want to hear from me. Chicken. Who can relate to my chicken? Okay. The second voice is what we call the brat. The brat is the entitled 13-year-old child in all of us that wants what they want when they want it. I don't want to work out. I need my sleep. I deserve the extra glass of wine. I deserve the candy. I work too hard. Don't you understand? Who knows this voice? Yeah. Great. So the way these voices, now, they never go away, right? They're there. It's just, are you managing your voices? Because if you're believing either the chicken or the brat, and you're listening to one of those two, you're not listening to the dream. And that's what this is all about. What are you listening to? So the way that you know if your excuse is an excuse, you might be wondering, well, how do I know if it's the voice of my dream or an excuse? It's the $1 million test. So if I gave you, and it goes like this, if I gave you $1 million to go take that action, could you? If I gave you $1 million to go talk to your boss, could you? If I gave you $1 million to go get out of bed, could you? And if the answer is yes, that's how we know it's an excuse. Anyone want to try one with me? Here's some of your big excuses, the ones that you're like, there's no way. This is legit, Alyssa. Okay. So would it help to hear some brands of different excuses that we've commonly found? So that I don't care. I didn't want it anyway. This is where it's like, I'm fine. I feel inadequate at what I do, but I'm not interested in learning more. It's okay. I'm fine. Excuse. Passive voice, where you are the weatherman, right? When I talk to my mother, the conversation gets angry quickly despite my best intentions. The economy is bad. There are no jobs out there, right? An observer. The genetic argument, like it's some sort of genetic condition. Like, oh, I wasn't born with that gene. I'm bad at keeping in touch with people. I'm bad at foreign languages. I had that one for a long time. I'm just bad at math. Had that one for a long time. Who else? Anyone else have any good ones? Yes. Very good. The victim. I was raised in a manner that totally squashed all self-esteem out of me. I just can't seem to find the time or energy to focus on my personal life when my boss is so demanding. It's hard to stick to eating healthy now that I'm full-time with my toddler and my baby. Can you hear the victim in those ones? Anyone else have a good example of a victim? Herd mentality. Everyone else is doing it, so it's okay. This was a big one when I was in college. Everyone else is drinking. No one else goes to bed before 2 o'clock. Everyone else sleeps till 11. No one's yelling at them. Right? Past presidents, always been this way. Why would anything change? Diets have never worked for me. I've never lost weight on diets. I've always dated cheaters. Always. Why would I ever meet a good man now? Settler. It's good enough. Sure, I want to love my job, but at least I have a job. Isn't that enough? I made it through 20 years of marriage. Why rock the boat now? Anyone else? Anyone else have any other brands or good excuses they can share? Okay, good. Now, I know it might seem trite. We use excuses all the time. You know, I was late because of the traffic. But in areas that are really important to us, if we're listening to an excuse, then we might be selling out on something that we truly want in our life, that really is possible. And so for me in my career, I told you about I was struggling when I was a corporate executive, not knowing how to make a change in my career. So I'd been looking for 2 years and couldn't find anything. And finally, when I sat down with a coach, I said, well, what are you doing? What's happening? And I was like, I had all my reasons, right? There are no jobs out there. If I want to take a job, then I have to take a step backwards in my career. I have to take a pay cut. I have to start in HR. I don't want to start in HR because those people don't have the respect that I want to have. No offense, HR people. But this was just all my crazy excuses, right? And then she said, well, what are you doing? What actions are you taking? And the truth was, I wasn't taking very many. I had stopped sending my resume places. I hadn't had a conversation with HR. I didn't even know if there were opportunities in HR. I had just been making it up because I didn't really want to take the action. I was a brat. So can you see how when we listen to our excuses, we don't believe something is possible, but the second I realized that, wow, I wasn't taking action and did design the right actions to take, and the thoughts that I needed to have to support organizational psychology, everything shifted. So I learned that there could be opportunities with our HR firm. And I started having a promise which we'll talk about in a minute, but where I would send out resumes every week on a consistent basis. And then it created new opportunities for me. So I want you to really take a list and circle where your excuses are, and then on the corner, to the right of your list, really list out what the truth is. Where are you not taking action? Where are you a chicken? Where are you a brat? Right? And we'll have some shares in a moment. So take a few minutes and do that now. So, any questions or comments or concerns? Okay, we're ready to move on to our final tool. So we have our dream. We've cleared away all of our BS and drama about why the dream is impossible. And now we're ready to take action, finally. So taking action is what we call personal integrity. And personal integrity, as I mentioned at the start, is the alignment of our thoughts and our words and our actions with our dreams or our highest values. So it's really living in alignment with our ideals and making choices that are true for that. So I'll give you an example. When I wanted to change, when I wanted to go for my body dream and really have that dream, because as I mentioned, I didn't have a healthy relationship to my body when I started this process. I first started to have to deal with the voices in my head that were talking to me and develop different theories that I wanted to prove. So I eat foods that nourish me and make me feel great and energized and good in my body. And then I designed promises that were consistent with that. So I exercise 5 times a week. I eat according to a food plan 5 times a week. So that's how, by building the muscle of making and keeping promises to myself, did a couple of things. One, it allowed me to trust myself in this area of life. So if you ever notice, we're really a lot better at making and keeping promises to other people, more so than ourselves. Anyone ever notice that? Right. And the result is that we learn not to trust ourselves. So by making and keeping promises in an area, we create the relationship where our word is the law. No matter what we say we'll do, we do. And then it can happen at the micro level with making and keeping a promise around our body, but then think about that at the macro level when we want to build an empire or go to be president or travel around the world and we say we're going to do it. That trust is unyielding and so powerful. So by making and keeping promises consistently over time, that is what brings us the experience of being happy and proud because we're on the path. We're on the path to what we want, our dream. So I want to hear from you. Give me an example. Can I hear some ideas for promises that you can think of that would put you in action to your dream in the area you selected? Let's talk about those now. Beautiful. Okay, so you might be wondering, well, Alyssa, what if I break my promise? And that is a good question. Oftentimes, what happens is we've broken our word to ourselves so many times, and we feel bad about it. So it has us think that we're taking action, but we're actually not. The feeling bad is actually a diversion. So to cut out all that feeling bad, we've created what's called a consequence. And it's a final tool. So if you think about it, there are natural consequences to everything we do in life, right? If I eat donuts all day for a month, there's a consequence of that. If I never study for an exam, there's a consequence of that. If I eat according to a food plan, there's a consequence of that. So the problem with natural consequences is that they're not immediate. So if I eat a donut every day for a week, I'm not necessarily going to gain 20 pounds. But over time, I'm going to feel terrible and look sluggish and not like how I look, right? So what we do with man-made consequences is we create an immediate deterrent to make us want to keep the promise. So it's not a punishment. It's actually a design by us for us so that we can keep going in the way we want to go. So for example, if I don't eat according to my food plan for 5 days in a row, then I don't get my cheat meal on the weekend. It's kind of helping me. Do I really need that ice cream? No. And it's also like motivates me to keep my food plan. So if I don't go to the gym, I have to do this cardio workout, which I hate, and it's annoying to me, right? So the other types of examples of consequences, and it should be annoying. Like we lose our wine, we lose our booze for one night, we have to stay in one night, we lose our Facebook, our social media, our television, right? We have to call our mother. We have to give $5 to our friend, or buy them a coffee, or take someone out to dinner, or throw $1 to the street. All these are different consequences, and they're fun. They just help us really want to play the game of going for our dream. And then they also, the ones that involve other people, help other people know what we're up to. And so they get to play, and they get to support us in our dream. So it builds the connection as well. So anyone want to give me an example of a promise and a consequence? First tell us what your dream is, and then give the promise and the consequence. Yes, that's a good one. Very good. Wow, we've come a long way. So we have now given you 4 solid tools to design the area of your life that you're working on. We started with the dreams, making sure that you felt connected to what you want. And then we looked at all your reasons and excuses and justifications for why that's not possible. And then finally have you taking action to live consistently with your ideals. Now, if you enjoyed today and you want to learn more about us, then you can find us on the web and sign up for either our free newsletter or a free 20-minute consultation. And please do keep designing and keeping your promises and support each other, because that's what this is really all about. And I'll be here to answer any questions that you have after the course, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for being with me.